come to my realization that there are fewer than 10 asexual characters in TV or film, and many of them do more harm than good. And thinking that 1 to 1.7% of the population identifies themselves as asexual, it's kind of weird to me that out of all of the movies that are produced and are being produced, only 8 that I found have asexual characters in them. Especially because asexuality is such a thing that is not accepted that much by society, and it's just sad to think about that we have literally no representation, not even in books and literature, but in movies.
This is our orientation. We're asexual.
Quite sure what box to check here.
1% of the population identifies as asexual.
You really gotta get you laid.
We literally have almost no representation of this sexuality, and as an asexual person, it messes me up a little bit. So there are 3 asexual tropes that I found in the 8 instances that asexuality appeared on TV in the last 20 years. The sick, dead, and lying trope, and that's found in House MD.
For insecurity, she's immune to most advertising and can have honest relationships with men.
Not a lot of them.
We've run every test and ruled out all the options. You're gonna have to accept she just doesn't want sex.
Lots of people don't have sex. The only people who don't want it are either sick, dead, or lying. The tumor near his pituitary probably started growing in his early teens.
Lowering his libido, causing erectile dysfunction.
You're on dopamine agonists, you'll be a sex-crazed creep just like the rest of us. Completely fascinated by Susie Cooper. I would prefer to be paid in a single $100 bill. Always wanted to use one to light a cigar.
Hooray for us. We disproved his asexuality. We also probably ruined his life.
He'll thank us.
In the Better Half episode. In that episode, it shows asexuality like a disorder that is pathological and that needs fixing. And also it shows that it's linked to brain injury too. Even the Asexuality Visibility Education Network called it disturbing because it links ace identity with pathology, which is straight up stupid. The second trope is when they make it very not important or more in a comic way. And this happened in Bojack and in Shadowhunters.
Kiss me.
It's not like that. I'm not like that. I'm just not interested in sex.
Being a vampire made you this way?
No. I've always been like this.
They basically took very minor characters and made them asexual, and they don't really have depth and they don't really have a plot themselves at all, which I guess is fine for some movies. Asexuality is represented, then representing it as a very minor character that basically does nothing. Yeah, it's a bit disturbing. And how are you supposed to identify with that? Trope 3 is what happened in Riverdale, and you probably did not know, but in the Riverdale comics, Jughead was asexual, and then in the actual series, he's not. And so they erased his identity as asexual for the sake of the movie and for the sake of the series, which again is disturbing. And somehow Hollywood didn't perceive asexuality as something that is worthy to be on screen at that point. However, there are some movies and series that are representing asexuality well. Gerald Tippett in Shortland Street is a pretty good representation of asexuality.
Gerald is asexual. Who says? He does. He decided that he doesn't have sex. Doesn't want it. Ever. Oh my goodness.
And he's like gradually and authentically revealing himself and explores this kind of romantic intimacy outside of sexual experiences. Florence in Sex Education also experiences asexuality, and
I don't want to have sex.
Okay. Do you want to have a seat? Not having sex is a valid choice, and you shouldn't have sex unless you're...
No, I don't want to have sex at all. Ever with anyone. I think I might be broken.
Okay. Why don't you start by telling me how you feel when you think about having sex?
I don't feel
anything. I have no connection to it. It's sort of like I'm surrounded by a huge feast with everything I could want to eat, but I'm not hungry.
Do you know what asexuality is? It's when someone has no sexual attraction to any sex or gender. Sex just doesn't do it for some people.
Oh, but I still want to fall in love.
Well, some asexual people still want romantic relationships, but they don't want the sex bit. And others don't want either. You know, sexuality is fluid. Sex doesn't make us whole. And so, how could you ever be broken?
I'm very glad they made her such a fully rounded arc and facing acephobia and other struggles that asexual people might face. And Spooner Cruz from Legends of Tomorrow is asexual.
Okay, so smash, marry, kill, Nate, Gwyn, Carrie.
No, not really into any of them.
Copy. Okay, how about Sarah Ava Astra?
Not really into any of them either.
Also copy. Okay. What is your type?
No, I don't really get those types of feelings for anyone. Maybe it's one of those things those mushroom aliens messed up about me, huh?
Hey, no. What you're describing is totally normal. It just means maybe you're asexual. People who identify as ace have little or no interest in sex, but many of them still want to be in relationships.
I guess that makes me ace.
OMG, did you just come out to me?
I guess I did. Okay, well, first of all, who would have thought you'd be the first person I'd tell?
Not me.
Okay. Cheers.
And if you want to watch a Lithuanian movie about asexuality, you should watch Slow. And Dovydas is the asexual character.
Girlfriends, boyfriends? Well, as I was saying, dull. You don't have a girlfriend then?
Girlfriend? No, not really my area.
All right. Do you have a boyfriend? Which is fine, by the way.
I know it's fine.
So you got a boyfriend?
No.
Right, okay. You're unattached, like me. Fine. Good.
John, I think you should know that I consider myself married to my work, and while I'm flattered by your interest, I'm really not looking for it.
No, I'm not asking. No. I'm just saying, it's all fine.
Good. Thank you.
Got a date.
What?
It's where two people who like each other go out and have fun?
That's what I was suggesting.
No, it wasn't. At least I hope not.
But still, one thing that is weird for me is that in all of these representations, only one of them was a woman. And if you look at asexuality surveys, 60 to 73% of asexual identifying people also identify as women. So please make it make sense, because I don't know. And I think it's so important to show kids and show people of all ages, honestly, that this is a way of living your life. And you don't have to follow sexuality rules that men put in place for you to live a happy life and even be romantically involved. So I think some guidelines for creators that they probably would not see, but in my mind this should be obvious, is that they should add more asexual characters in their movies, because it will make the movie more interesting, since it won't fit into all of the tropes that every single relationship needs to have sex on screen. And when they do, the characters just say I'm asexual, not assume it or imply it. As in real life, you would say I'm asexual to people, because that's a very good way of communicating, because otherwise you're going to end up in some relationships and you don't know if you feel comfortable with doing what the other person needs. So you need to be open about your identity, and especially with asexuality, I think it's so important to be very open and communicate a lot on your identity and what you feel. Asexuality is also not a disease, so please don't add it as a disease and pathological, please. And when you do add it, let them live a life without the label too. Like, I am asexual, but that's not my entire life. I have an entire life, and my entire character is not based on this. This is just a very small thing in my life that is very different from other people, but still, I should not be labeled at this, and my entire character should be around this thing in a movie or series. Do not erase asexual people in adaptations, in movies and series. And diversify representation. Like, I just don't understand why all of them were male, or most of them were male. Like, do some research and realize that male very rarely are asexual. Of course they are, and I'm glad there's representation on that. But at the same time, women need it too. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I'm sure you're gonna like this one too, because it's all about asexuality and sex. Love you guys. Have the best day of your life. Kisses. Bye bye.